So Fallout 4 really boosted the first-person shooter aspect of the game. It feels a lot better as a shooter than 3 or New Vegas. However, it has gone quite a ways from the tacticalness of old Fallout. This isn't a bad or a good thing, it's more of a preference thing. Do you like the more action-orientedness of Fallout 4, or do you prefer the tacticalness of the first games? It's just really, they play very differently. But between that and the animations and the ability to melee with your gun, I feel like this is a Fallout that fans of shooters are going to enjoy. Skills have been removed and perks are weird now, where each perk has a level to it. Best way I can describe its feeling is hopping from New Vegas to Fallout 4 feels similar to hopping from like Morrowind to Skyrim. Does that make sense? A lot of the depth for stat building and character creation has been more streamlined to make it as accessible to new players as possible, but it feels emptier than the previous game, and due to this, most characters are going to feel very similar. It isn't necessarily a bad thing though. And one improvement is your character is now voice acted, which is both an improvement and also not, because dialogue is more basic than before, but I still do enjoy the voice acting. Power armor has a big change too, where it now has a battery and will die when it's out of energy if you don't have backup fusion cores. But it makes you huge and very strong, and I really like this and how it's done. It feels far more like actual power armor than what was in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, where it was just kind of felt like an outfit. With this thing, it makes sense why you would need training, because it's a big-ass mechanical suit. Now, I do have one gripe with it, and it's like a minor gripe that I know some people disagree with me on. When you're in the suit, it can take a huge amount of damage that makes you have to repair it a lot. But your regular armor does not need repairs, which actually makes me not want to wear the power armor as much. And I think maybe it should be flipped, where the regular armor is the one that needs repaired and the power armor shouldn't. It should feel kind of invincible. Instead, I eventually just stopped using it unless it was like a super serious mission, because I didn't want to repair it and the armor I was getting was usually good enough. Now that doesn't mean it still isn't the best, it is, and I bet on a harder difficulty I'd be wanting that even more, but I was just playing on the normal difficulty. The game also looks really nice and I like the visuals.
Hey there.
If you're going to kill me, then do it.
Now in Fallout 4 there are 4 factions that you can join, and for a short time you can be part of all 4. But at a certain point you're going to have to choose one to be your main one. It is still possible to be part of 2 or so. I know by my end I still was part of 2, but I don't think it's possible to be part of all of them. And you, like I said, you are going to have to choose one to be your main one. And that's just because some of them fundamentally hate each other. So let's go through them. We got the Minutemen. These are the group who helps build settlements and protect settlements and make trade routes with settlements. I mean, they're kind of rebuilding society. It was a disbanded group that is growing, and they immediately place you as their leader, which in my opinion is a little bit weird, but game mechanic wise, I get why. It's because then you can manage settlements, which we'll talk about later, and this is a good group that creates some form of community, society, and security. Next up we got the Brotherhood of Steel, who have been in every Fallout game. You know them, you maybe love them, maybe hate them. They are the power armor militaristic hoarding pre-war technology group. They are a powerful and strong faction, this one being the Commonwealth Brotherhood, being led by Elder Maxon, who is trying to bring a strength and superiority to the Brotherhood. On one hand, this is a good faction for cool items, and on the other hand, this is also a faction that feels different than like previous Brotherhoods. This time they're like closer to the Enclave, I would say, as they kind of want to just destroy everyone who isn't them. So this version of the Brotherhood is kind of the bad guys. They are closer to the Enclave than like the Brotherhood from Fallout 3, which are the good guys.
They call their creation the Synth, a robotic abomination of technology that is free-thinking and masquerades as a human being. This notion that a machine could be granted free will is not only offensive, but horribly dangerous.
Abominations meant to improve upon humanity. It's unacceptable. They simply can't be allowed to exist.
So next we have the Institute. All of the greatest technology is here. Like normally the Brotherhood has the best stuff, but I think in this case the Institute might have the best stuff. Like toilet paper. On one hand, you're not going to have better security or living situations than with the Institute. And a lot of what they do, I think, is actually pretty good. In fact, if I had started off as part of the Institute and they covered up their evils a little better, I bet I could have went a whole playthrough being duped by these guys, believing the Institute are the good guys. And I think that's a good thing. It helps me see how the people in the Institute could believe themselves to be the good guys. However, due to seeing how bad they are before ever meeting them, it was quite a bit harder to justify it. You see, the Institute builds synths, and these were mentioned in Fallout 3 briefly, but these are robots that look human. And at one point, they were nothing but robots. Now we have synths that might as well be human. They have free will, the ability to think, the ability to dream, the desire to be free. So in short, at this point, they are no different, in my opinion, than an actual person. And so the forced labor of the synths and the experiments upon the synths is now just slavery and inhumane. Which leads to the last faction, the Underground Railroad. It's a faction that is using the old Underground Railroad of real life to once again help slaves, in this case, the synths. And while this is a very good moral cause, this faction is probably the absolute weakest in manpower and firepower. This is the faction I went with, though. I think both them and the Minutemen are the best. To be honest, I kind of wish I went with the Minutemen, and my biggest reason why is the Underground Railroad is amazing for helping synths. But there's also plenty of human slaves, and I've never seen them help them, and I don't know that they have much of a plan or idea of what to do after the synths are rescued. Whereas the Minutemen, I feel like, could integrate them into a society and give them jobs and purpose, which would help them and help rebuild society. Plus, Minutemen seem to help everyone who isn't some sort of, like, raider, so also, that's just good. One day I'll do a playthrough of all the factions, but for this time, I just chose the Railroad. The main reason I didn't do a playthrough of all the factions this time is because I spent a little over 100 hours in Fallout 4, and I just decided to take a break. Also, I kept catching up with this one dude in the same bed as other people, and he would quickly move as soon as I saw, and that's pretty sus. Alright, so there are many various companions in Fallout 4. I did not experience all of them, but I'll be talking about the main ones that I did. First up is Dogmeat. Dogmeat is a good and faithful boy who you can put armor on, and unlike in Fallout New Vegas where you get one human companion and one either robot or animal companion, here you only get one companion max. And that's kind of a bummer, because Dogmeat is a good boy, and my fondest memory with him was the time he ran into a barrel and then shot up into space for some reason.
A little elderly advice.
Next is Preston Garvey. He's a big part of the Minutemen, and he often gives you Radiant quests to protect settlements. And by often, I really do mean often. He's a fine guy who is romanceable, but I didn't chill with him long enough for that. The biggest thing we did was we took over the old Minuteman castle, and we used that as a base of operations for recruiting, so that was cool. My favorite memory of him was when I walked in on him doing crazy-ass gymnastics in the dark. Next is Nick. This is the one I spent the second most time with. Nick Valentine is a synth detective. Now, something to note is most people don't like synths at all. And while some reasons are prejudice, other reasons are because the Institute has kidnapped people and replaced them with synths. So it is a fair fear. And it's kind of like Snatcher on the Sega CD. I'm sure all of you have played that. Now, there are two reasons people treat Nick differently. The first is that he has proved himself to be a good guy. The second is you can tell he's a synth, so it doesn't leave people wondering and then they ease up a bit. See, there are multiple generations of synths. Some are actually just robots, but the newer they go, the more they actually are their own people, and Nick is kinda in between. He's 100% his own person, but he also was a prototype before the whole skin and such. He also has the memories of someone else, implanted memories, just like Blade Runner. Honestly, there is so much Snatcher in here and so much Terminator, but the big one that's here is there is so much Blade Runner in this. At times, this is actually even more of a Blade Runner game than a Fallout game, to be honest. It takes so much from Blade Runner. Anyway, Nick runs a detective agency, and he's a kind of helpful guy, and I'll be talking a lot more about him when I start talking about the story and DLC, because he's important in those. But the main reason I traveled with someone else more than him is because I can't change his outfit. I mean, it's a good outfit, but I just wanted a higher armor rating. And my favorite memory with Nick is when we killed the guy who killed the wife of the guy who Nick's memories are from.
You killed my fiancée, Jennifer Lands. There's some crimes even you can't get away with, Winter.
Your fiancée? You mean Valentine's fiancée? Pretty girl. Shame what happened to her. But hey, you, or, you know, the real Valentine, he should have backed off when he had the chance. But what gives, Robot Man? Why do you even care? Some girl gets whacked 200 years ago, and you come into my home acting like a hot guy? Christ, look at you. You're not even alive.
Then I guess I'm in good company.
You ain't taking me down.
Not yet.
Last but not least is Piper. Piper is who I traveled with the most. She's a reporter who's both good and bad at her job at the same time. To be fair, she is the only journalist, so it's not like she has a mentor to teach her. Like, she does say a lot of truth, but she also makes a lot of speculation off absolutely nothing. But after our interview with her, she joins our party. She also has a younger sister who's supposed to be standing on a box selling papers, but often in my game she's just floating.
Ain't got nothing better to do?
The other funny thing about Piper's sister is I swear every time she says, "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers," somebody says some shit that makes it funny to me.
Not supposed to talk to people I don't know.
Thank you. It's like I can finally think straight.
Not supposed to talk to people I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. I got shot in the ass last year. Long story.
Anyway, Piper is a very kind soul with a sweet heart. I said, well, forget that. We're gonna make her a Darth Revan-esque attire and give her like a dark saber type shit. Make her look badass as fuck. And I just love traveling around with my badass buddy. And only a buddy. You can romance her, but I didn't end up romancing anyone, just being platonic with everyone. She's also funny too. I cracked up when I told her to hack the computer's terminal and she just told me no.
Hey, you say the word.
Go check that out.
What if I could? But I can't, so I won't.
Oh, and there was this one time where her scripting broke and she just became a scarecrow, and that was funny. Honestly, we had a lot of fun adventures together, and she was even right about the mayor being a synth, because he was. I don't know how she knew. She had no proof, and her biggest evidence was that he sat in the same chair that a synth once sat in, which is not evidence at all. But somehow she was right, and he was a synth. What the fuck?
You sure you want to travel with me?
You kidding me?
Sure, let's go.
Will do.
Traveling with Piper is not for the faint of heart. I'd know.
Nick, you always know just what to say.
So story-wise, you make your character and your spouse. No matter what, you are married to this person and you have a baby named Sean. Well, there are legitimate things to critique here. I'm picking an odd one. Sean is just such a gross name. I would never name my son Sean. That's just asking him to grow up to be an asshole. Try to name a Sean that you think is likable. You can't do it. It's impossible. I mean, it's better than like a Darian or something, but come on, it's still high in the list of douchebag names. Hey, it's me interrupting myself again. So I compiled every Sean I could think of, and it turns out most Seans I've met have actually been fine people, and only a couple of them sucked. So I would like to retract my statement. Based on Seans I met, there was only a 27.27% chance that a Sean was an asshole. And that's coming from my very, very limited pool. So with only 3 out of 11 Seans being garbage, I redact my previous statement. Anyway, so we live before the bombs dropped and kind of get a glimpse of what that's like. The bombs drop and off we go to the vaults where we are frozen to reawake later. Except for that didn't happen, we stayed frozen longer than we were supposed to, and when we do awake we see some dude kill our husband and steal our baby. Then off we go back to sleep, then we reawake, then we leave our vault and we are searching for our son. And I guess it's a fine thing, but it feels like a worse version of Fallout 3's opening. Like, it's fine and it works for the story, but honestly, there's like 100 other ways I'd rather have it go. Still, it's fine. Instead of leaving to look for our father, we are leaving to look for our son. And that's what leads us to meeting our companions and joining factions and such. It's Nick Valentine that helps us find the guy who stole our son, and his name is Kellogg. He is a mercenary working for the Institute, and we kill him.
But I think we've been talking long enough. We both know how this has to end. So, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Question is, are you?
We then use a part of his brain to access his memories, is what was supposed to happen, but sadly it would only put me in this weird, empty, purple void of nothing. Now, I was supposed to end up in a void of something, but this is truly a void that was a void. I tried lots of fixes, but they wouldn't work, and I was scared I wouldn't be able to continue the main story because it was broken. I looked it up online and saw that my game did not look right compared to what other people were doing. Well, I was playing it during the anniversary updates, and they were doing that during, I want to say November 2025, and I think one of the updates fucked with it, because after I got another update, suddenly my shit was fixed and I can continue the game how I was meant to. I could actually see the shit it wanted me to see. It basically was showing me Kellogg's life and that the Institute used teleporters to get in and out, and that's how I need to get in. So we built a huge ass teleportation machine to zap me into the Institute, and that is where I met Sean. Now, that younger Sean, he was a synth. And apparently my actual Sean is now an old man called Father. So Father is my son that I thought was a baby, but enough time passed that he's an old man now. But shouldn't Kellogg be ancient then? What the hell did I miss? Anyway, what matters is this old man is my baby boy, and it turns out he runs the Institute, and the Institute wanted him due to his uncontaminated DNA, which is why they left me alive in case it didn't work out. Sean not only wants me to work with the Institute, but it also turns out he has cancer and he wants me to take over. And I know I said no in this playthrough, but the more that I think about it, the more I think maybe yes is actually a fine option. Maybe I can change the bad things about the Institute from the inside. Unlikely though, since no one else wants me to lead it, which is very fair, because I just arrived there. I don't know the Institute the way these people who live here do. I'm literally be a nepo mommy to a son that's older than me called father. I don't know. But I know there isn't a lot of changing the mind of Sean, who says stupid things.
The Institute created that synth, so the Institute is responsible for what it does.
I disagree. A synth is no more inherently evil than a handgun. When a man dies by gunshot, is the weapon's maker blamed? Of course not. The blame rightly falls on he who pulled the trigger. Yes, we created the synth. But whether they intended to or not, the Railroad's agents turned it into a killer. The group that calls themselves the Railroad have acquired several synths from the Institute. Synths that had gone missing in recent months. They no doubt mean to free these synths, in their delusion that synths are somehow sentient beings. You've been in contact with the Railroad, so you're aware of their misguided beliefs.
I knew it. I knew it. I told you naming him Sean was setting him up to be a douche. Oh, I fucking knew it. Never tell me the odds. I fucking knew Sean was shit. So basically, from this point, I am doing stuff for the Institute while undercover for the Railroad. We are even planning a synth revolt and escape with the help of a guy named Patriot, who does not realize all this violence is about to happen. And I don't want to tell him, because then he will leak my cover to the Institute if I do. He means well, but his stupidity could ruin this. Now, before the revolt, let me tell you a bunch of random ass things I wanted to mention. We end up having battles and fucking killing the Brotherhood and defending our underground from them as well. I end up kind of big, like size-wise, I'm fucking huge. I mean, I know I'm big in power armor, but even outside of that, I still feel bigger than everyone else. Turns out the Institute is responsible for creating mutants on the East Coast, and that the mutation is actually reversible as we successfully turn a mutant back to a human. Also, as part of the Railroad, I got a neat gun that shoots railroad spikes. Alright, let's talk about the final battle. We teleport the Railroad into the Institute, and then we fucking blast the hell out of everyone, saving the synths and wiping out the Institute. We also take out Father. I almost didn't even see him.
We expect to see you again.
Synths are pouring through up here.
You know that.
But we won't leave without you. Don't worry.
It will never survive without the Institute.
And that's that. We done won. And we free the synth, and then the synth version of Sean asks to come with me and be my son. And on one hand, hell no. I got shit to do. I don't got time to be a mother. On the other hand, I mean, that's why I was looking for my son, right? To be a mother. So I guess, whatever, I'll be a mother. You know what? Why not? I was trying to find Sean anyway, and this is just, what, a better version of Sean, so I say yes. And then I send him to live in a settlement where he just seemed to vanish. I never saw him again. I went to that settlement and I checked multiple times. I can't find him. So I done lost my son a second time, I guess. I searched all over that place. I don't know where the fuck he went. Also, Patriot was really angry about the violence and he committed suicide. So that, yeah. And that was the story, or at least one of them. There are 3 other versions with the other factions, so at some point I will try those.
Hi, I'm Meg. You new to the hill? For 10 caps, I can give you the tour. Nobody knows a place like me.
Sure, I'll take the tour.
Caps up front. Thank you. The market's in the back, bar's in the corner, and the outhouse is over the wall. Bye.
So, we are about to talk about settlements. What you are seeing is my best settlement, and it is a vault that I built. There were a couple other ones that I liked, my basketball one for example, but really, we are going to just be doing a showcase of this vault while I ramble about settlement building. So, as I previously stated, you build settlements for the Minutemen, and this one here was part of a DLC that gave you a vault to make a settlement for Vault 88. In between missions, I spent a lot of time working on settlements. You gotta make sure they have enough people, but not too much. You gotta make sure they have enough food, enough water, and enough beds. Plus, I try to provide them with luxuries like electricity, which would be a luxury here, and a valid reason to join my settlement. You spend a lot of time building things in these settlements, and to do that you need resources. So while you're out adventuring, you can find items, break them down into these resources. Or, if you have the caps, you can visit vendors and buy supplies off them. Like the Doctor of Diamond City, I can buy shipments of glass off of him. And I need the glass for things like light bulbs or TVs. This is a very time-consuming process as you are taking care of more than one settlement. However, you can do things like set up scrap stations and try to help with getting more materials faster. And you can sell excess supplies. I had one town that had a huge excess of water from the water purifier, so I sold that. But I know you can set up farms and make jet and other various things. Brahmin for some reason count as settlers, and unlike other settlers, they can not be assigned to jobs. But for some reason though, I keep seeing them shop at my local shops. And shops are another benefit. You setting up these businesses and having them run while you are away generates you some caps, which you in turn can use to help the community more. Or not, you can spend it on whatever. You also have other occupations. I have farmers, I have restaurants, I have doctors, surgeons, barbers, and such. And I wanted to have a basketball team, hence the basketball court. We were going to be the best ballers in the Commonwealth, but sadly no one wanted to play on the court I built for them. Also, you need to set up people to go from settlement to settlement. These are called provisioners, so you can share the resources between the settlements, which also helps with building. These provisioners are a must, and there are many ways to set it up, but I try to make sure all are connected in at least one way. Another thing about the settlement is that they need defense, which can come in many various forms, but I mostly use turrets and robots. Which is another cool thing, you can build robots. I have one walking around here somewhere named the T-800. You need to defend these settlements because they get attacked, which meant I was constantly defending these places from radiant attacks. And honestly, this, plus all the radiant generated bonus stuff, means this takes up a lot of time. It's not, mandatory at all, so you don't have to do this, but since I was doing it, it was really adding up in playtime. And radiant generated quests are never as fun as handcrafted story-driven quests. But even with this not being mandatory, I still wanted to do it. I love the building aspect. I love running the settlements. It was like I was playing 3 games at once. A Fallout game, a Minecraft building type game, and a tower defense game. So I would do some missions, then relax and build, then I'd do some defending to gain the XP and protect my settlements, then I'd do some building, and then I'd rinse and repeat. And I really liked that. However, all 3 of these need work. Yes, I was playing 3 games at once, but all of them were a bit janky and needed polish. And for settlement-wise, some of the biggest problems I ran into was trying to get the hallways and rooms to connect. Like, sometimes building doorways would work, but sometimes it wouldn't. Some things just aren't compatible with others, and my biggest issue here is that there are size limits to how much you can add. Now, this was originally added way back when, and it made sense back then because you don't want your game crashing out on you because it can't handle it. But with the Xbox I have now, it definitely can handle it in a lot more, but the size limit is still the same, and in some places it's surprisingly small. The spot I built my basketball court was going to be a multiple-story New Vegas, but the size limit was so small that it ended up just being a single basketball court instead. And this vault you're seeing is far bigger than what I could do at other places, but this is still only about a quarter of the size that I was planning. Plus, there aren't enough things to add. Like, there is plenty, but I want more. Because after enough time, I was like, oh, that's it? That's kind of a bummer. And the layout of menus and where things are in those menus can be confusing as fuck. Plus, there are items in the game that exist that you can't generate, like a fridge. Like, why not, man? It's already in the game, let me make it. And the tower defense part? garbage. Not only do you gotta be there all the time, but it seems like my defenses don't do well when I'm gone, despite them always doing great if I'm there. And on top of that, walls don't matter, because enemies can just spawn inside the settlements. One time I had one spawn directly into the ground, which is another thing. Make sure you set your spawn marker somewhere that nothing is at. Or you might end up fast traveling and be instantly stuck in something, because that happened to me at one of my beach settlements. Anyway, I do love my Fallout, Sims, Minecraft tower defense game. I just wish they would polish it up and add more, but I guess that's what the PC and mods are for. Alright, it's time to talk about DLC and just various other things about the game before we wrap it up. So that Vault DLC not only gives you a vault and some vault stuff to use for building settlement-wise, but as a short story. Basically, a ghoul is in charge of this nothing burger of Vault 88 and wants to build it up and do vault experiments, and based on your choices, she will either want to stay and be overseer, or will leave and you will be overseer. And I chose in such a way that she left because I wasn't being mean enough to people, and good riddance. There's also a lot of going through the very large area and clearing it out of monsters and such, but that's about it. Another DLC was a storyline about robots that attack humans because they misunderstood the order of protect and figured the best way to protect was to eliminate. That's a story that's been done tons of times, but far better than what we have here. It involves the machinist who, to be honest, I don't care about. It's Fallout's like superhero and villain story that are in this one, and they're also in Fallout 3, and I just really don't care about them. I kinda hated this because mine was broken. I needed Ada, the robot, to scan things, but for some reason she was incredibly glitched out and I could not get her to fix herself. I tried many methods, but she remained broken and made this DLC take incredibly long because we would be stuck at each door for like 15 minutes before she would scan it. She just kind of jumped around scanning everything in sight but the door. And I like that I can build robots now, but I think I hated this DLC and how broken my run of it was.
Over here.
So the next one's a really big one, and it's Nuka World. It's this whole ass theme park, and it's kind of like Disney World, but with it being Nuka-Cola themed instead. It also is run by raiders of various groups. First they trick you to going there, then they make you run the Gauntlet, which is basically just a lot of traps and enemies. It's like if Macaulay Culkin was in Fallout, except, you know, he is in Fallout. After you get through that, you must fight a boss. Now, one of the raiders, known as Porter Gage, gives you a squirt gun and says it's the only way to beat the boss. And if you use real weapons, you'll die. And I really like this, because now I'm in a psychological mind game. Is he telling me the truth? Or will I now be an even easier kill by using the squirt gun instead? I love that. But it turns out he was telling the truth. The squirt gun does beat the boss, and that, I guess, makes us the boss now, which is a bit dumb. But I see why, because once again, it's more game mechanic reasons. See, we are the overboss of 3 different gangs now, and what happens from here is you take over territories and decide who to give the territories to. If you're doing a more evil playthrough, you can also start making raider settlements from here on out, where you go and capture places and force people to work for you.
Sheep or a wolf? Because the pack only runs with wolves.
Obviously, you can't be in the Minutemen and a raider at once. Now, my character is far more of a good guy and not into slavery, so what we did instead of taking over each place for a different gang, is we killed all the gangs and we freed the slaves. And what I like about this is not only does it give me the option to do good, and kill those gangs. But realistically, the Good Thang is going to be the hardest of fights to do. And that would make sense that it would be incredibly difficult, and this was difficult. It was probably my hardest fight in the game. Plus I was under-leveled doing it, because this is supposed to be the last one, but I did Far Harbor last instead. Regardless of if you kill the gangs or not, you can still take over the territories, and each has its own little Nuka-Cola theme of stuff, so that's fun. Also, if you go the route I did, you have to kill Porter Gage. You can't keep him as a companion. Anyway, I free the slaves, I take those territories, restore power to the park, and play a lot of Nuka arcade games. This is a fine DLC. It adds a lot to the playthrough, especially if you are evil. Personally, it's not one of my favorites, but I don't hate it by any means. So last up we have the Far Harbor DLC, which in my opinion is the best of all these DLCs. This is the one that has us teamed up with Nick Valentine to go on a detective mission. A family's daughter went missing, and her name is Kasumi, and it turns out she believes herself to be a synth. And she found an area where a lot of synths are gathered. Her parents claim she isn't a synth at all, and that's nonsense, and they just want her back. We travel to the island and we find a town that has to deal with gulpers and heavy fog, and they believe that these crazies, the children of the atom, are responsible. We also get another follower, but this is a Nick Valentine adventure, so taking him along was just not going to happen. So now we find the place where the synths are, but strange enough we find one with Nick's face and voice. This is Dima, the other of the prototypes, basically like a brother to Nick. They escaped the Institute together, and as you can tell, Dima has augmented himself to become more than he originally was. Dima is an interesting character who is sometimes doing sketchy things for semi-good reasons, I suppose. We also meet Kasumi, who believes herself to be a synth, and here is the tricky part. She might be. She might not be. How do we know I'm also not a synth? With fake memories implanted into me, that would be a crazy Blade Runner twist, but ultimately, to me, it does not matter. Synth or not, I am me, and I will do what I do regardless. I am my own person. Just like Nick is his own person, even if he has Nick Valentine's memories, and even if he is a synth. I'm sure there's a way to find out if Kasumi is a synth, but basically I tell her it truly doesn't matter. If you find out, great. If you don't, and it'll eat you up forever, honestly, it's better to just live your life. So she agrees, and she goes back to her parents. I'm sure there is a way to actually find out, but I didn't find out. We also solve a puzzle that took too long for me to figure out, but once I did, it was easy. These bugs, they just gotta make it all the way across, so you're just building these bugs bridges. I didn't know that. I didn't even know these bugs were important, but once I figured it out, oh my god, I felt stupid. I was like, oh yeah, duh. I end up killing the children of the atom. They actually have a quest, but not only were they giving me bad vibes, they were just dangerous to me, so I just killed them, before doing their quests. And look, I'm all well and good to leave religious nut jobs alone, but these nut jobs are violent and worship radiation and have on their hands a nuke. You think people who worship radiation aren't going to set off a nuke? So I'm going in guns a-blazing and killing them all. I also keep Dima's secret. See, the town across from them that has gulpers and such, he killed their leader and replaced her with a synth. Is that bad? Yeah. Did he do it to protect synths? Yeah. I'm not on Dima's side here, right? I think he done fucked up. But here's the issue, and he spelled it out for me, and I think he's right. If I tell that town what happened, they aren't gonna just go after him. They are coming after the whole safe haven of synths. People already don't like synths, and this would push them over the edge to killing this whole settlement. And I do actually think he's right. So I'm gonna keep his secret, and this is kind of what I mean by he's sketchy, Anyway, Kasumi goes back to her family, and we finish up Far Harbor. Anything else I want to mention before I wrap this up? So my favorite side quest was this one where we need to help this guy Travis gain confidence. So the plan is to fake a fight and have Travis win so he feels better. But I forgot to take away Piper's weapon and she just killed people.
Big mistake, Travis. I'm gonna destroy you and your friend here.
Why am I doing this? Guess they vanished for good. Come on, we don't have to do this. Still in one piece.
This led to us having to go about the quest in a different way, and it was really funny being chewed out about it.
I could have a chat with her.
Yes, I know. This is why I'm telling you. Apparently, I also need to say, please do not be killing anyone. Okay? This is for helping Travis, not murdering for fun.
But the guy who had people die was obviously not happy, so he kidnapped the guy who was helping us get Travis confidence, so Travis had to help us actually kill those guys due to Piper's mistake, and through that Travis gained confidence, and I absolutely loved this. And how us failing the first time had major consequences. This is a really enjoyable game, and now that I've played all the Fallouts other than 76, I'm going to give my rankings. My favorite is Fallout 2, and followed by that is Fallout New Vegas. Those two are going to be in a constant battle for first place till the end of time. After that, Fallout 4 and Fallout 1 are in constant battle for the next spots. I like Fallout 1's story better. I enjoy Fallout 4's gameplay. Fallout 3 comes in 5th place, and Fallout Tactics in 6th, and Brotherhood of Steel dead last. So yeah, I do recommend this game. I think maybe we are traveling too much into sci-fi and less post-apocalyptic for my taste, but I still enjoy this game, and if it got polished up and fixed, I could easily see this being my 3rd favorite Fallout.